Hey you, yeah you Dorito eating scum. Did you know you could support this channel by using fake money? Well then, if you didn't, when you log on to Stoneworks, say /pay Australium1 and insert the amount. It really helps the creator of this channel, even if it's just 1 cent. Anyways, on with the video. The Peninsula of the Cat's Claw. A not very wonderful place to live, to be frank. The Union of Haven, who ruled it at the time, thought they were super cool, but a lot of people, like the Umbrians, Cheviks, and Montroigans, thought they were not so cool. But that's a story for another time. This time, we are focusing on one specific people, the Umbrians. The area was ruled by Ursus, a communist leader, and a lot of people weren't happy with that, especially a group called the Lunaists, who consisted of the vast majority of the country, and the moment the new government was formed, they protested for a new government to form. But Ursus wasn't gonna give in, was he? Spoiler alert, he didn't. The enemy leader was a guy called Tom Hins. Weird name, right? Get used to him. He's really tricky to draw, so I'm just gonna show him to you. But keep in mind, really goofy dude. Tom Hins and his two right-hand men, Australium and John, were like, yo, he's not gonna give in. Let's give ourselves a new government. Now, they very well knew they could not just overthrow him. He wasn't unpopular enough. Now, at first, they contemplated legally seceding, so they sent a letter to the High Council requesting independence, and were informed they had to pass by the same guy. Hey, could we have independence? No. So, after some planning, the Civil War started, immediately. Ursus started panicking. He knew he just didn't have the force to get rid of them, and worst of all, they had wired a whole mercenary group. It was a total disaster for Ursus, but then, like an angel leaving the skies, Ganef, a general of the Union, ordered the rebels to surrender or be crushed. Spoiler alert, they didn't. And, as a show of force, they did this. They marched on Rusitania and killed the ghost of August again and again, whilst partying, lowering communist morale. Man, I really don't feel like causing an international accident. Really? One of their men had been Auroran, and since the Union and Aurora had close relations, he had to be sent off. They soon left and began fortifying Coolio City, and they were right to do so, because Ursus was preparing himself an offensive. They asked the Union if they would send troops, and the Union was hooked. Both sides were preparing for the most decisive battle of the war. If the rebels won, they could take the rest of the region and maybe enter Montroig. If the Union won, it would be the start of a long, grueling guerrilla campaign both sides were not ready for.
The Union planned to take the rebels like this, but here's how it actually happened. First, we need to zoom in. Here's a badly drawn map of Coolio City and nearby areas. Yeah, here's Coolio City. It's a literal circle. I know. It looks bad, but you can now go visit. It's actually a circle, and they pushed in. But the rebels had built deadly traps that killed even the enemy commander, Ganef, who had city would harm anybody that died. So true, Ganef. So I just got on the walls. They eventually destroyed rebel forces and took the city. The rebels eventually got back to reality, and when the well-fought Australium decided the best idea was to conditionally surrender. So the big man went to us, and it went like this.
So, we're gonna give you what you want. Really? What's the catch? You just need to sign this paper. Okay, alright. But nothing really changed. Both sides stayed in a limbo, both fearing the Union would support the other side. You lied to me. Ratio. As a matter of fact, both sides didn't really care about the treaty. They were both envious of the other side and in no way were wanting to end the war. But then, disaster for the communists struck. The Union of Haven collapsed, which made the SRC all alone. Meanwhile, Zytker Klend, Dombe, Nebula, and K9 had formed a union with the rebels, so it sorta went like this. The Union, which they named Geshbago, joined the Horde, who proceeded to restart the Civil War, and now every other city except the communist capital, Alusia, had surrendered. Alusus, that funny bear guy from earlier, was completely cornered. When it was time for battle, he got obliterated. Right before, Belovo, a city in the region, declared strategic ambiguity to avoid being devastated by the war, which both sides respected. And when Horde troops entered the city, he was killed time and time again. At the end of the battle, the city was in ruins. After the war, The cities that had surrendered feared to be massacred, more specifically, the mayors. But luckily for them, they didn't. The rebels began reconstruction, and the whole region wondered what came after. Total war.